In this video lecture, we will start with molecular orbital theory, right? So, molecular orbital theory, also abbreviated as MOT, right? And basically, what it teaches us, it helps us to understand bonding between diatomic molecules, right? When two atoms combine, right, to form molecules, how bonding between those combining atoms take place, right? And the similar approach towards understanding chemical bonding between diatomic molecules we have understood before this via valence bond theory, VBT, right? So this theory was given by Hitler and London, right, in the year 1932, right? This was given by, I'll just write it over here, Hitler and London, right, in the year 1932. This is good to know information. Now, you have a new thing that you are seeing here. It's molecular orbital, MO, right? Before this, we have learnt about atomic orbitals, right? And what are atomic orbitals? Atomic orbitals are nothing but these are waves associated with electrons, right? If you remember the wave mechanical model of atom, that teaches us that electron has a particle nature and it has a wave nature as well, right? And this atomic orbital represents the waves associated with electrons, right? And it is the probable region, right? Atomic orbital is a region where the probability of finding the electron is maximum, right? And we have different orbitals. We have already understood in previous lectures. We are doing it since structure of atom, s orbital, p orbital, d orbitals, right? And we fill up these orbitals when we write the electronic configuration of atoms, right? So when we talk about molecular orbitals, after studying this theory, right, we will get to know that like we can write the electronic configuration of atoms, it is possible to write down the electronic configuration of molecular orbitals also, right, in which we fill up electrons in molecular orbitals, right, like we fill up electrons in atomic orbitals when we write electronic configuration of atoms, right? That how to write down the electronic configuration of molecules, we'll see that in future lectures, right, of molecular orbital theory. But in this video lecture, we'll basically understand how combination of atoms, right, take place via molecular orbital theory, or how molecular orbital theory explains the formation of chemical bonds between combining atoms or between diatomic molecules, right? So just as atoms combine, right, atoms combine to form molecules, right? Just as atoms combine to form molecules, atoms combine to form molecules, we know that atomic orbitals are associated with atoms, right? So atomic orbitals right, will combine to form MO, molecular orbitals, right? And the way of building up molecular orbitals from atomic orbitals is known as linear combination of atomic orbitals, right? This is important, you need to remember this. Linear combination of atomic orbitals. This is an important term associated with molecular orbital theory. Linear combination of atomic orbitals, right? This is abbreviated as LCAO method, right? And what is this? This is a method that we adopt to construct molecular orbitals, or it tells us, LCAO method tells us the way to construct molecular orbitals from atomic orbitals, right? It tells or describes, doesn't describe, it tells how molecular orbitals are built from atomic orbitals, right? Now let's see how these atomic orbitals will combine to form molecular orbitals, right? We know that atomic orbitals are nothing but these are waves associated with electrons, right? So these are waves, I said, associated with electrons, and you are familiar with what are waves, right? If it's like this, waves are like this, right? You have done this in smaller classes, in class 10th also, right? These are waves, these are crests, right? These lower points are troughs, these are troughs, crests, these are crests, these are troughs, right? And this represents your amplitude A, right? These are waves. So when I say that atomic orbitals are nothing but these are waves, right? So these are represented by these waves, right? And we know that, let's understand first, when I say that atomic orbitals combine to give you molecular orbitals, right? It's like waves are combining, because atomic orbitals are waves associated with electrons. So here atomic orbitals are combining, right, which are waves, right? So waves are combining to give you molecular orbitals. Now we will see how waves, right, interact with one another, how two waves, to be precise, interact with one another, right, to give you a bigger wave and a smaller wave, right? That is, I'll just show you over here, right? If this is a bigger wave, right, this is one wave, let's say, and we have another wave, this wave, right? So there are two ways these waves can combine, right? Either when these two waves interact, that is when these two waves combine, interact with one another, their crests, right, their crests, see, crest of this wave will fall on the crest of this wave, and troughs of this wave will fall on the troughs of this wave, right? So what we get is, what we basically say when crest of this wave will fall on crest of this and troughs of this wave will fall on troughs of this, we say that waves are interacting constructively, right? What we get is, this is your, we call this as interference of waves, right? You will study this in physics, interference of waves. This is your constructive interference. In constructive interference, basically these two waves will add, right, to give you a bigger wave, right? So what you get is, from these two waves, what you will get is a bigger wave, like this, right? You get a bigger wave, right? When I say bigger wave, if the amplitude of this wave is represented by psi A and amplitude of this wave is represented by psi B, right? So when these two waves add up to give you a bigger wave, the amplitude of this wave would be psi A plus psi B, right? Or the amplitude of this wave is, this is your psi A plus psi B, right? Now the second way the wave can interact is, if these are two waves, right? If these are two waves, just, right? The other way is, these two waves can interact destructively, right? A destructive interference will take place. This is the second wave, right? So when these two waves combine, a destructive interference will take place, destructive interference, right? When I say destructive interference, we will subtract this wave from this wave, right, to get a smaller wave. Here we were getting a bigger wave when we are adding waves. So here when we subtract waves, we get a smaller wave, psi A, right? This is your psi B, right? So when these two waves interact destructively, or when we subtract this wave from this wave, the crest and troughs of these two waves doesn't match like it was happening here, right? So what you get is a smaller wave like this, a smaller wave, right, whose amplitude is psi A minus psi B, right? This is a smaller wave obtained by destructive interference. This is a bigger wave that you get by constructive interference. Constructive is when you add up the interfering waves, right? And destructive interference is when you subtract the interfering waves, right? And just remember, this is important, that when you add up waves, the amplitude of the resulting wave is bigger, right? Amplitudes will get add up to give you a bigger wave. Here in destructive interference, amplitude of these waves will be subtracted to give you the final amplitude of the destructive wave that you got, right? Similarly, same thing happens in case of atomic orbitals, right? So when atomic orbitals, which are nothing but waves, right, when they interfere or when they combine, right? Now two atomic orbitals can combine to give you a bigger orbital, right? Or two atomic orbitals can combine to give you an orbital, a smaller orbital, right? This type of one thing I just forget to tell you, this type of interference is your in-phase interference. When these two waves interact in phase, right? And this type of interference where you get a destructive, where you have a destructive interference where waves are subtracted from one another, this is your out of phase interaction, right? Out of phase, right? Similarly, when two atomic orbitals, suppose this is your s orbital, right, and this is again your s orbital, when these two combine, right, let's suppose these two combine in phase, right? So when these two will combine in phase, what you get is a bigger orbital, right? What you get is a, let's write it away. What you get is a bigger orbital, right? So, and when these will interact out of phase, right, what you get is a, when these two orbitals subtract, right, this is a subtractive effect, what you get is a smaller, orbital, or the orbital that has a node, right? It has a node, it has a nodal plane. And what is a nodal plane? Where the nodal plane where the probability of finding the electron in the orbital is 0, right? 0 probability of finding the electron, right? So this is similar to constructive interference, right? And what you get is an in-phase orbital. What you get is an in-phase orbital. This is your out of phase interference of waves associated with electrons when two atomic orbitals combine to give you, when two atomic orbitals will interact right? They may form a molecular orbital, a bigger molecular orbital, by in-phase interaction, right? And they may interact to give you an out of phase orbital, right? Which is by subtractive effect, like destructive interference of waves, right? So this would be your out of phase orbital, right? This is your in phase orbital, this is your out of phase orbital, right? So this is important to understand. In phase orbital and out of phase orbital. Now we'll look at from the bonding perspective, right? How bonding between atoms take place. So when basically bonding between atoms is taking place, the atomic orbitals are interacting to give, they may give a bonding molecular orbital, right? This type of a bigger orbital, which is known as in phase orbital. When electron waves will interact in phase, they may give an out of phase orbital when these electron waves will interact destructively, right? So here you can see the orbital that is formed, this in phase orbital is spread over both the atoms, right? These orbitals that are coming from two different atoms, when they combine to give you in phase orbital, this orbital is spread on both the atoms, right? So the probability when these two atoms combine, right, when you add electrons of these orbitals in this atom, in this molecular orbital, the probability of finding the electron would be maximum, right? Because this is a bigger orbital, so now electrons have more space to move, right? Since this is a bigger orbital, so in this in phase orbital, the probability of finding the electron is maximum between the nuclei. These represents the nuclei of the combining atoms, right? So here the probability of finding electron is maximum between nuclei, right? And if you talk about this here, since this is a smaller orbital, right, and we have a nodal plane where the probability of finding the electron is always 0, right? So here the electrons of the combining atoms will spend most of their time away from the space between the nuclei, right? Here electrons, if you add electron to this orbital, electrons will spend most of their time away from the nuclei, away from the space between the nuclei, right? And here these electrons will spend most of their time in space between the nuclei, right? Now since electrons in this scenario, right, are found between the nuclei, right, so let's understand their interaction with the atomic nuclei, right? So if you have electrons in between, most of the time electrons are found between these nuclei, so they have, when electrons are present between the nuclei, right, so they will have attractive interactions with the nuclei, because nuclei have positive sign, electrons are negatively charged, so they have attractive interactions, right? They have attractive interactions with the nuclei, right? And if you look at this, since this time spent by the electrons, right, most of the time spent by the electrons is away from the space between the nuclei. That is the electrons are now not found between the nuclei, right? So this is positively charged, this is positively charged. Electrons may be anywhere, maybe electrons are here, say, right? So here what kind of interactions you see? This is positively charged, this is positively charged. So here you have more repulsive interactions between the nuclei. Why? Because electrons, if you see here electrons are present in this scenario, in phase orbital, electrons are present between the nuclei, right? These nuclei are positively charged. So electrons here are between the nuclei. So they act as a shield between the nuclei. These nuclei are positively charged. When these electrons are present between the nuclei, they will prevent this kind of repulsive interaction between the nuclei, because this kind of repulsive interaction will increase the energy of the system, right? So whenever the energy of the system is increased, right, you have a unstable system, right? So this is unstable. Why? Because of the repulsive interactions, because the repulsive interaction is more. So due to high repulsive interactions between the nuclei, the energy of the system will increase, right? And here, when electrons are between the nuclei, right, these are acting as a shield between the nuclei, and they have attractive interactions between the nuclei. So when they have attractive interactions with the nuclei, what these electrons are basically doing is they are holding these two nuclei together, right? They are holding, these electrons are holding these two nuclei, holding two nuclei of combining atoms. So what do we say when you have a whole, when the atoms in the molecule are holded or are holded together, right? When atoms in it, this is kind of a scenario when atoms in the molecule are combined with one another, are bonded to one another, right? So this kind of interaction where these electrons are holding these two atoms together in the molecular orbital, this is a molecular orbital in which these electrons are holding the two nuclei, right? This is a bonding scenario. And here when the electrons which are between the nuclei, in this out of phase orbital, the electrons spend most of the time in the space away from the nuclei, right? They are not found between the nuclei, right? So electrons are not there between the nuclei to hold these atoms together, right? So this is a scenario which is against bonding, right? For the same reason, since here electrons are holding these two atoms together, we call it a bonding molecular orbital. We call it a BMO, bonding molecular orbital, right? Since, and this in out of phase orbital, here the interactions are such that it will not lead to holding of these two atoms. So when these atoms are not holded together in this molecular orbital, this is a scenario which is against bonding. Like here bonding is taking place, here the scenario is against bonding, so no bonding will take place. So this is your anti-bonding orbital. This is your anti-bonding orbital, right? Anti-bonding molecular orbital. So we say whenever atoms combine or whenever atomic orbitals interact to form molecular orbitals, atomic orbitals may interact in phase or out of phase, like these waves together. So whenever atomic orbitals combine, they form a bonding molecular orbital that has a lower energy, and a anti-bonding molecular orbital that has a higher energy. Because of repulsive interactions, they have a higher energy. Because of the attractive interactions, they have a lower energy. Because if you remember, we have understood in valence bond theory that when two atoms come close to one another, right, a bonding scenario is when the two atoms have more attractive interactions. When attractive interactions are more than the repulsive interactions, we have a bonding scenario. Whereas if we have less attractive interactions compared to repulsive interactions, right, we have a non-bonding scenario. Here also it's same. We are just understanding the similar thing that we understood in valence bond theory in molecular orbital. Now in this molecular orbital, we have more attractive interactions between electrons and the nuclei, right? When we have more attractive interactions, energy is released, right? When energy is released, you have a minimum energy situation. Minimum energy situation means more stable state. So this when you have less stable state, when you have more stable state, that means energy of the system is lower, right? So here you have more stable state, you have more attractive interactions, due to which you have less energy state, right? Here the energy is less because most of the energy is released due to attractive interactions. So bonding molecular orbital have less energy, we say. Bonding molecular orbital has less energy compared to the combining orbitals, right? Compared to combining orbitals, right? Because we have more attractive interactions here between electrons and nuclei, because electrons are spending most of their time between the nuclei. In case of this anti-bonding orbital that we call, because of high repulsive interactions, energy of the system is increased, right? When energy of the system is increased, right, so we say this anti-bonding molecular orbital has higher energy compared to the combining orbitals, right? So here this anti-bonding molecular orbital, let me just write it over here. This anti-bonding molecular orbital has high energy compared to atomic orbitals, compared to combining atomic orbitals, right? This is important to understand. We'll just quickly draw the energy level diagram now. How we will draw the energy level diagram? If this is your one orbital, right, presents one orbital, right, and this is your second orbital, right? Now these two atomic orbitals can combine in phase and out of phase. When they will combine in phase, they form a molecular orbital, bonding molecular orbital, which has less energy, right? So this is how you will represent it, right? Here in this, I'll just show you that, right? And when these two atomic orbitals, right, will combine out of phase, they will form a non-bonding or an anti-bonding molecular orbital that has a higher energy. It has a higher energy, right? In this is a energy molecular orbital energy level diagram, right? This has a higher energy. So here these electrons that are in these two atomic orbitals will spend most of their time in bonding atomic orbital here, and they will spend less time in anti-bonding. This represents out of phase orbital, anti-bonding molecular orbital, and this represents your bonding molecular orbital. This represents your anti-bonding molecular orbital, ABMO, right? So like I said, we can fill up electrons in molecular orbitals like we do in atomic orbitals. So when you fill up electrons will first go in the molecular orbital of lower energy, right, like we were doing in atomic orbitals. So first electron will come here. This represents your higher energy orbital. So electrons will go here later once bonding molecular orbital is filled up, right? So this is your and this is your molecular bond, this is your energy level diagram of molecular orbital diagram, right? So in the next video lecture we will see more features on more features of molecular orbital theory. In this video lecture, just remember